Alright folks, hello, welcome to another Premodern playoffs, and today we're gonna be playing, of course, Blue White ArgenNought, and you will see for sure that, we're pimping it out after winning the championship. I said, I'm gonna treat myself. I'm gonna get myself some old frame meddling mages. Phyrexian Dreadnoughts are coming soon, but this is the decklist that we're gonna be playing. I'm trying out a couple of things which I may or may not like. I'm not sure just yet, so we'll see how it goes. First thing is I'm playing the full playset of Portent. This actually I do like a fair bit. I do think after experiencing both Portent and Sleight of Hand, I think Portent is slightly better. You see what I did there. But then what I did is I cut Sleight of Hand for Impulse, which is going to be just a single one-off, a little bit of smoothing of the hands. We'll see how it actually plays out. I'm not super stoked about the fact that it's 2 mana, so this may just be better as a singleton Sleight of Hand. That might just be the better card for the deck, but I wanted to give it a shot and see how it feels. And lastly, I'm cutting the 4th copy of Daze for the 4th copy of Counterspell. This is an interesting switch that Lani was suggesting, and I think that I personally think that Daze is actively very good in the deck, but the idea of making your late game a little bit better in the main deck seems enticing to me. The awkward thing is that this deck is just sort of by design a little bit quote-unquote clunkier than the mono blue version. We are playing more lands than the mono blue version. We're playing 18 as opposed to the 17 or 16 that the mono blue version oftentimes plays. But what we're making up for that is that we actually have a higher curve, right? Like we actually are actively trying to cast Meddling Mage, and we want to, we do have our cantrips and stuff, but we are not like necessarily trying to make into the late game. We can, and we are good at playing the late game. I think this deck is fantastic at playing longer games. I've won many matches. I feel like most of my matches I'm winning on turns like 8+ as opposed to winning on turn 3 or 4, I mean, you can win on turn 3, so you turn 4. But yeah, still, I do think that it's something worth exploring, and, it doesn't say anywhere that you're forced to play 4 copies of Daze. It is a good card, but yeah, I'm going to be switching things up with the Counterspell here. And the sideboard, the things that I'm switching up, I have 1 Seal of Cleansing, 1 Disenchant, 2 Plows, and I'm also playing the 2 copies of Annul. In the decklist that I play in the championship, I was playing 2 Disenchants instead of the second Annul. I'm just kind of like going back and forth and see which card I like best, and kind of go from there. But the rest of the sideboard is pretty much what I was playing in the championship. So if you looked at my deck list over there, it should be roughly the same thing with these small changes happening over here. One thing that I do want to point out is if this deck starts to pick up, you definitely want to have access to answers to Meddling Mage, because the Resolve Meddling Mage, it's kind of a problem. So this deck is not very good at dealing with Meddling Mage naming Swords to Plowshares. The good thing is that obviously if your opponent plays Meddling Mage and they name Swords to Plowshares, then you can play your own Meddling Mage and you can name, Phyrexian Dreadnought. And then you are like a little bit of in an awkward spot where neither player can really do their thing and neither player can interact with what the other player is trying to do. So like we will probably find ourselves in a very interesting spot there. But I have actually never played the mirror so far. So I did something that I definitely want to be testing. I signed up for LobsterCon today, so I'm very likely going to be playing this deck in LobsterCon, so I want to make sure that I get some reps and I try some different things in there before going there. So I would definitely want to try the mirror and like test what axis the mirror really happens on. But this deck list is the deck's messed up. I think it's the best deck in the format, not by a significant margin, but by it's firmly the best deck in the format. So yeah, I just continue winning with it, so I'll continue winning until they make me stop. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you for the first round. Alright, here we go. We got a pretty decent hand, actually. So we get to Portent on 1. We're on the play, and we get to Portent on 1, which is obviously the best cantrip that we can have, so we can Portent ourselves, looking for that second land. Yeah, all of these look good. So let's say, okay, we're gonna go Charm, Gush, Island, say no shuffle, and then pass the turn back. And now we even have Counterspell / Double Opt on end step, which is pretty good. So I think I want to hold on to that Vision Charm anyway. What is this? McLean has been playing some McLean. Sorry, I keep messing up McLean's name. But he's been rocking with some zombies. So I imagine that's what he's up to over here. I don't think there's anything that he's going to name here that it's actually going to hit. So it's going to be the flashback of the therapy, the one that's going to hit. So he named Dreadnought and it obviously whiffed, so that's fine. But I'm expecting maybe a zombie or two coming down right here. We know what we're drawing. So we'll see whether McLean wants to draw where they have another therapy. Like, second therapy would be kind of devastating. Plague Bearer. So we're just going to have to plow that, which is fine, I guess. Let's play an island and pass the turn. So, Plague Bearer, definitely it's a little bit of a beating here. But that's fine. So now that I know about this, I think I really want to dig towards a Sword Supply, so I'm going to bottom the Vision Charm, I think. If he plays nothing. We'll see. But I mean, I need to get rid of this before I do anything else. Unless he plays something worth countering. Withered Wretch. So this is just like a 2-mana 2/2. Does that matter? It kind of does, because it really speeds up the clock. So I think I'm just going to use my mana here. And this is interesting, because I can portent again, or I can upkeep bottom. I think I'm going to draw the Vision Charm, and I'm going to portent myself. We have an island there. Island, Vision Charm. I really want to hit my land drop, but yeah, these are just not great cards. So, actually, is this a great card? Huh. Because I can, if I leave one on top, do I want another Vision Charm is basically the question. Because I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go top, top, top. Then I'm going to opt bottom one of these islands, draw the second one. Then I'm going to draw Vision Charm next turn. Yeah, actually Vision Charm seems pretty decent here. So let's not shuffle. Let's opt main phase, bottom the island, draw the second one, play my island, and say go. I guess I could also Vision Charm here, potentially. I could also opt again here, potentially. But I think I actively want a Vision Charm, because Vision Charm is kind of an answer to this Plague Bearer. And this Plague Bearer is going to cost 3 mana for him to activate. Like, it's not free. Like, that's basically his entire turn. Sure, he can do that on instant speed, but another Wretch. That's fine. Okay, so now Miss Land Drop there is big. So obviously we're going to bottom the third copy of Vision Charm. And now we untap another Meddling Mage. So I'm just going to gush here. We're hitting all Land Drop anyway. And now we get to Meddling Mage? Yeah. So let's Meddling Mage just so we don't go to discard. And we can name... What do I want to name here? Am I just naming Cabal Therapy? I think I'm just naming Cabal Therapy. And just passing the turn, I think. It's possible he's got stuff like Vendetta and Smother. But those cost mana just like the Plague Bearer activation. And this is not going to kill my Meddling Mage, right? So, like, this is going to be 5 mana to kill my Meddling Mage. So I think I'm going to be fine with that. Wretch gets in there. We can foil anything that's particularly relevant, though I don't think there's anything that I care too much about. Gem Pump Polluter. Yeah, that just domes me for 2. I don't think that matters at all. Another black mana. So, I think I'm going to play another Mage, and I'm going to name... So, let's serve with Meddling Mage. Swing for 2. Play second Mage, name Smother. Smother. And now next turn I'm probably going to gush again, looking for a Knot. And once I get to Dreadnought mana, we're just going to be cooking, obviously. I'd rather have 3 mana, Lord of the Undead. Yeah, that's probably worth foiling. So let's foil Pitch and Vision Charm. And I think I'm going to take the 2 here. Yep. So we untap, we draw a Dreadnought, which is great. So let's gush to see what's up. Maybe we'll find a Stifle. Perfect. So now we are just living the life over here. So we are gonna Dreadnought, Vision Charm. Then we're gonna say cancel. Gonna swing for 4. And if he wants to spend his entire turn, activating Plague Bearer, then we just stifle it and we win. They can't smother me, can't Cabal Therapy either. So I think unless he has exactly land duress plus, yeah, I guess it would need to be land plus duress. Nothing else really matters. No attacks. You love to see it. Here I'm just gonna impulse an end step because it's just safe. He can't actually kill my Dreadnought, so interesting. So if I attack with everything, he actually has to chump block with the Plague Bearer. So I think I'm gonna get the second Meddling Mage just so I have that covered. So here we untap. He's going to activate on upkeep. We stifle. Play land. Serve with everything. He has to double block. He has to, so we're gonna take a trade and then he's gonna take a chump block. And then he's gonna go to 1. Oh, he's trading with the one naming Smother. Oh, he's trading with the one naming Cabal Therapy. Interesting. Now we're gonna play another one naming Cabal Therapy. And pass the turn back. Vendetta doesn't do anything. I think this is just game. Yep. Dude, Meddling Mage. So good. And I'm so happy that I have the old frame mages now. Next step is gonna be to get the old frame Dreadnoughts, but those are like 15 tickets or something crazy, so it's gonna be a while before I actually get those. Okay, so Curse Totem blanks Plague Bearer, which is one of his best cards. Also, like, how insane was that game, right? Like, he had turn 1 Ritual into Therapy plus play my literal best card in the matchup. And then we won easily from there. Like, that is just... This deck's power level is just off the charts. I am so impressed every single time I play this deck. It's just so impressive. I am... On the play, I'm kind of low-key considering Winter Orb. I'm gonna cut a foil in 3 days and call it a day, I think. But yeah, on the play, I'm not super stoked about it. But on the draw, I'm not super stoked about it. But on the play, Winter Orb seems very, very interesting. Because I can just drop a Winter Orb and then... I can drop a Winter Orb and then I can, from there, try to wait and set up a situation. I can set up a situation where I can... Like, my opponent can't be taking advantage of their mana at all. But here, my opponent's going to turn 1 Dark Ritual and they're going to get on board very quickly. So that's probably not going to be great for me. Okay, so he kept 7. This hand gets owned by Cabal Therapy, but I think that's fine. Sour Commands. Okay. Basic Island go. So opponent's got a 2-2 over there. We're going to have a plethora of 2-2s ourselves. Cabal Therapy. Well, yeah, this hand gets owned by Cabal Therapy. This hand gets owned by Cabal Therapy. There's no way he names either of these cards, so it's gonna be a 2 for 2. Regardless, there's no way he just in the blind names either Meddling Mage or Stifle, but obviously this like looks terrible for me, right? Oh my god, I have no hand anymore. Yep. Dude, Cabal Therapy is a hell of a card. Therapy is a hell of a card. Portent myself. Gasharoni. Okay. So, actually all 3 of these cards are great, right? I think all 3 of these cards are great. So I could shuffle one of these away if I wanted to. But I think all of these cards are good for me. So I'm just gonna... Because I know that these Stifles are gonna go away, right? Like he's just gonna Therapy them away. So I think... Man, these therapies are so brutal. I think I'm gonna say okay. And I'm gonna order Vision Charm. I guess I'm gonna go Gush, Counterspell, Vision Charm. I'm gonna say no. Play a land. So now we're gonna draw the Vision Charm. Next turn we're gonna draw the Counterspell, and then following turn we're gonna draw the... Maybe I should have done the other way around. Draw the Gush first and then the Counterspell. But I think I don't want to allow my opponent to have more information from the therapy. Lord of the Undead. Okay. It's gonna be some zombie action. Flashing back, naming Stifle most likely. Now we untap, and I think I'm gonna play a Darker Wastes. And the reason to play a Darker Waste there is because my opponent doesn't know about the counterspell. I don't really care about this Lord of the Undead just yet. I'm more threatened by the but like the potential card that they can have. And maybe this will tempt them to waste my Elarkar wastes. Plague Bearer. Next turn they can get it back, which is pretty brutal, but it is what it is. But what I'm gonna do is I think I'm gonna go for it now. Oh, he's considering flashing back Therapy because he knows about Division Charm. That's actually pretty smart. He probably should. Just throw away the Wretch, and he's trying to play the long game. Yeah, I think he should definitely do that. But I'm gonna attempt to gush into one of my 4 Swords to Plowshares, because if we actually gush into one of my 4 Swords to Plowshares, we're just gonna win the game. Easy game, easy life. I mean, it's not super great, but would have loved to find the Dreadnought there in the process. But now my opponent has nothing going on beside this Wretch, which is clocking me for sure. So he's in top deck mode. I am also in top deck mode, but I top deck 12/12s, right? So that's pretty strong. I think he should be flashing back. It is taking from their clock, so maybe that's fine. The good thing here is like we can deal. So I have this turn to find either another gush into Knot or just straight up a Dreadnought. Because starting next turn, I'm just gonna. I guess on this turn I'm also just dying. That was a really good draw for him. Not? Okay, so now I'm just dead. I need to draw gush into Dreadnought. Just the random 2/2 beats got me. Game number 3. I think I do like the Cursed Totems a fair bit. The question now is, do I want Dazes? I think I want 2 Dazes, maybe over a Counterspell. I mean, Cabal Therapies were the name of the game here, right? Cabal Therapies were the MVPs for him. I'm actually going to keep the Impulse, and I'm just going to cut the Daze. Just have the Miser's Daze. Okay, now we are on the play. Sure. I'm going to keep this hand. Every time I Portent on 1, I just feel like I'm cheating. We get Stifle, we get Portent. Looking for that turn 2 Dreadnought. So the ideal thing that I can find of Portent is Dreadnought, Daze, and like whatever. If I find Dreadnought, Daze, whatever, I think we're going to win the game. Unless my opponent has exactly Vendetta. But if we do have those cards on the top of my deck, then I think we're just gonna win the game. This hand's great though. Keeping it every time. Also, I like that Portent is kind of good against Cabal Therapy, because like it gives you a lot of agency over not drawing the card that you think your opponent's gonna name. Also, Portent is kind of the best card to cast on turn 1. So Portent myself, he moves to 6. STP Gush Vision Charm. Huh. Well, I like a lot of these cards. So let's go top, top, top. Not shuffle. Pass the turn. I think it's more likely for him to name Gush instead of Swords to Plowshares on a Therapy on turn 1. Dark Rit. Oh, well, never mind. there goes that, I guess. So if he has like a Therapy into a threat, we're obviously going to be in really bad shape here. We know there's a Gush on top and there's a Vision Charm below that Gush. He does take the Swords of Plowshares, which is very understandable. Maybe I should have left the Gush. I was playing around Cabal Therapy instead of playing around Duress. Obviously, Duress got me very good. Okay, so now I Portent myself. Flooded Strand, Daze. Yeah, I don't think these are good, so I'm just going to... Actually, Flooded Strand is interesting because it enables my Gush, but I think I'm just going to shuffle. Any order, shuffle, play land, so you go. Draw Portent, foil. Interesting. Well, if I do find a Daze, now we're decent. So he swings for 4. It's a pretty good clock to put into play on turn 1 for sure. He has the Therapy too. Ugh. That kind of sucks in a way, because now I think my opponent's gonna name Stifle, and then now they're also gonna get back they're gonna get the Dreadnought. That Therapy is just devastating, of course. Not too much that I could have done about that. Keeping the Daze on top, I guess. But then I would be in a spot where, yeah, it's just bad regardless. He has to flashback now, I think. Because if I do manage to top deck something good, like he's in such rough shape, so he should 100% just sack the Carnophage here to flush back and take this Dreadnought. It does take away from his clock, but it is crucial for him to do that right now. And I have so many draws too. Like if I draw a Mage, then I can just name Cabal Therapy. Now he can't touch the Dreadnought anymore. Ooh, he's passing the turn back. Yikes. Well, yep. Here goes nothing. Here goes nothing. He should have definitely flushed back there. I mean, sure, he can have like Smother in hand, and he can go like land Smother, and he knows that I don't have any protection, so he could also have Vendetta, which would be bad, but like this is a 2-turn clock regardless, right? And now if I draw an island, I'm locked. Like I just win the game straight up. Stifle. Okay. It's not great. Just the casual take 12. Actually, any land would have been great because it allows me to just hardcast foil on whichever answer they could have. Just taking 12. Interesting. Huh. Okay. Well, he's dead. I don't think he has any outs anymore. Vendetta doesn't do anything. Land Smother. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was a little bit risky, luckily. That was a little bit of a risky play. But yeah, we got there versus the zombie horde going into round number 2. Alright, so we're on the draw, but this hand is fantastic, so let's keep it. We have Daze, we have Vision Charm, opponent moves to 6. We got the combo on 2, and double Daze protection. Don't mind if I do. Opponent goes Flooded Strand on 1, which is very interesting. So I guess I don't need to do anything here. So I'll just develop my mana. It's a little bit brutal if we're playing against a control deck, but if we're not, then we can just, like, if they play anything here, we can just, like, if they impulse, we can just hardcast the Daze, cash that in. Black mana for Duress. Okay, so they're gonna take my Vision Charm here. So, blue-black, is this Psychatog? That's funny. Well, I mean, I'm going for it, right? So here's a Plains, here's a Dreadnought, and here's a Vision Charm. Double Daze backup. So if they have Counterspell, we don't care. No, I'm gonna Daze that Counterspell. So we cash that in, and we are good here. My opponent could have something like Vendetta or whatever, but I don't think necessarily things are getting better the longer the game goes, so maybe Smother could be a problem. Smother, yeah. Okay, that's fine. I think it's fine to go for it there. My opponent's down to 2 cards in hand. Psychatog is obviously a non-issue here. We did draw Counterspell. Meddling Mage is big. Alright, I love that. So now we're going to play Mage. We're going to name Factor Fiction. No, let's just counter that. So we're just going to name Smother here, I think. Because it's realistically the only card we actually care about at this point. Psychatog doesn't do anything. And I guess Mental Note? Beating 2 Psychatogs. Well, that's the strat, right? Accumulated Knowledge, draw a card. That's fine. Cephalid Coliseum. Alright. So here comes the... Oof, that's a good draw. So let's start there. Portent. Sure. Let's Portent myself. Yes, we're gonna keep those. So we're gonna go, okay, then we're gonna go top, 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 no shuffle. I'm not gonna pass up on a gush, obviously. Coming in there for 2. It's really nice to have access to double Swords to Plowshare. So like Psychatog is like literally irrelevant. Oh, I messed this up actually. I was supposed to like bottom the Flooded Strand. So I actually messed up the ordering there. It's okay. So let's play out the Strand because I may draw into a foil. And the beatdown continues with Meddling Mage. No need to gush there. We're just playing Drogo here for a minute. Stifle is interesting. Stifle to stifle the Cephalid Coliseum is not the worst. Probably not the best either, though. So let's just go to end step. And if my opponent attempts to FOF, I can maybe gush. Okay, so this Daze is pretty much dead here, but it's pretty decent foil fodder at this point. So swinging for 2, opponent goes down to 11. If I gush, I mean, I'm just gonna gush here. I'm going to, maybe it gets countered, maybe it doesn't. Honestly, it doesn't matter too much. I'm definitely stifling that though. Prohibit my stifle. That resolves, that's fine. That's good to have gotten rid of that prohibit there. Like, that seems like a good exchange. Like, it's not like Cephalid Coliseum is card advantage for them, right? It's just card. Oh, circular logic? Well, that's value. Alright. Well, you got me. That's kind of sick. Well, I'm not going to pay 13 generic mana, thank you very much. So we're just going to shuffle here a Flooded Strand, play out a land, and I think we're going to pass it back. Actually, let's gush here. Let's gush again. I still have enough cards to do stuff. Drawing another gush is interesting. So now we just have to go to discard, unfortunately. But I think that's fine. That would have been a good turn to drop a Dreadnought. Psychatog. Yeah, that's an irrelevant card. I mean, it's going to gain my opponent a ton of life, but definitely fine with this. And yeah, and my opponent, so they get to AK there. If they want to fight over this, like, I am extremely happy about that. Now we drew our own foil. Now we're looking pretty good here. So I think we're in okay shape. Mental Note is fine. Reanimate Psychatog? Yeah, that's fine. Play land, fetch. Interesting that they're just playing Flooded Strands just for value. So they're going to gain a ton of life here, but if they want to fight over this Swords of Plowshares, that seems pretty good for me. Prohibit. Let's foil. And if their last card is any sort of counterspell, yeah. So I think it's worth gushing here. Easy. All right. So now if they want to gain a bunch of life, they can. Which wouldn't surprise me considering that they're only at 6. They probably want to buy as much time as they can. But this makes their future Psychatogs that much worse, right? Okay, so they're just gaining 5 there, which is 5 turns. And if I had found, an enabler for the combo there, that would have been pretty sweet. Very, very nice that we managed to cash in both of our Swords of Plowshares, which would otherwise be not great in the matchup. Let's opt here. Stifle's good, yeah. Maybe I should have held on to that. We'll see. I think I'm just going to go for it here, though. I think we're just going for it here. Dreadnought, basically limiting my opponent to exactly 1 turn to find an answer to the Dreadnought, and it cannot be smaller. Yeah, excellent. Game 1. So Winter Orb seems incredible, for obvious reasons. And Curse Totem also seems kind of strong. So let's bring those in. And we're going to be playing a long game, so I think we can probably safely cut the Daces. Although I have to say that against Control specifically, I like Dace a pretty decent amount because it combos so well with Winter Orb. Like, this is a 1-2 punch kind of deal where you're putting your opponent in a situation where they, like, you're locking up their mana and then you're just like taking advantage of like Winter Orb. Winter Orb is so good because your opponent's going to be short of mana, and also because it allows you to bounce your lands, so you can actually replay your lands, and the Winter Orb basically does nothing against you. Is Curse Totem better than just Swords of Plowshares? I actually don't think so now that I think about it. So I'm just going to do that instead. And I'm just going to have some Swords of Plowshares in there. I love me some Psychatog, though. This looks pretty good. Decent hand. Meddling Mage, we just saw how good it was. The previous game, we got the Gush, card advantage, we got Vision Charm. Mental Note to begin, to start things off. Counterspell, not bad at all. Counterspell, not bad at all. Okay, so here we're going to opt... See what's on the top of the deck. Another island. I mean, I really want to continue hitting my land drops, but I would like another Darker Wastes instead of this island. Can I bottom this? I think I'm... this is rough. No, I don't think I can afford to bottom, actually. Like, I really wish I could, and I may flood because of that, but okay, I have double gush. We're fine. We're good. Don't worry about it. But I really... like this matchup is going to depend a lot on me being able to like hit my land drops and then get to a point where I am going for like a big turn. Yeah, this looks great. So I actually want all of these cards. So we're just gonna go. I guess we're gonna go. Man, I actually want all of these. So what does that mean? How do I resolve this? I think the first thing I want to draw is Counterspell. So I'm gonna go, but then I also want to draw the Flood, but I don't want to crack it because I really want to find that second Meddling Mage. So I guess I may have to gush into this. That's kind of awkward. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go Mage, Strand, Counterspell, no shuffle, play my land. So I guess I'm gonna take a turn off where I'm not gonna cast the Meddling Mage. Would love for my opponent to play like anything at all. So now we're gonna play our land and pass the turn back. If they fall, okay, so that's a draw 2, that's fine. Obviously, as soon as we get into draw 3, yeah, let's stifle this. I'm just cashing in my cards here, basically, because I can. So now we get a Plains, play Meddling Mage, smaller. And we haven't hit our land drop, so we could gush, which would still allow us to have Counterspell next turn. There's going to be 4 cards in hand, though, which is going to make me have to go to this card. So I guess I'm going to chill on it. Maybe I get to use one of these Counterspells on end step or whatever, and then I can go from there. Opponent does nothing on my end step. Okay, so they play another Flooded Strand and fetch. I'm going to let that one go. And now, gush. Okay, so let's swing first. And I don't think I'm naming Diabolic Edict with this Meddling Mage because I think this is fine. Ghastly Demise. Sure, that's fine. So now I'm going to name smaller with this one. And I think this turn I am going to gush because I just have too many gushes, right? Counterspell. I actually don't think I want to counter back. I think that's just fine. I think, because I was going to go to discard otherwise, so I think we can just take it easy here. Ha! What has got multiple swamps? Very interesting. Okay. Attempt to counterspell that. That just resolves. Okay. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool. Immediately draw the Swords to Plowshares. Classic. So we played our land these turns. We're just going to pass it back. Duress. I think I'm just going to counterspell to hide the information more than anything else. Hopefully they play another Psychatog here. That would be great. Yes, that's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. So now we get to... I think I untap. We untap first. That's a Dreadnought. We lead on Gush. See if my opponent wants to counter this. They don't. Replay that. And now I guess we're going to attempt to Swords to Plowshares. Actually, let's go for Dreadnought. Actually, no. Let's go for Plow first. We Plow first. Counterspell. Okay. And now we Dreadnought into Vision Charm. Pass the turn back. An opponent is nowhere close to lethal. 13 means +6. So if they swing, I just take it and they lose. So they can't attack. Mental note. Okay, that's good. That's significant. Okay. So that's 19 now. That's +10. Wow, do they just have lethal here? They may be able to set up lethal here. Well, now I'm scared. No wonder. Wow, Phyrexian Processor. That's a sideboard card if I've ever seen one. Damn. All right. No blocks. Okay, cool. Untap. Let's see if they have the answer to the knot. Looks like they don't. So let's play land and opt. Vision Charm is nice. We're going to hold on to that one. And I think we just swing for 12. See what's up. If they want to block, they would trade. But then, oh, they go to 1. Interesting. I think we pass the turn back, actually. Because we can just block. And we can protect. Gloom Drifter. 4 mana, flying. Threshold has similar cards in your graveyard. Enters the battlefield, target non-black creature gets -2/-2 until the end of turn. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's still not lethal, unless they have some number of things going on over there. But that enables the Smother, which is not unlikely for my opponent to have in hand. So I'm just going to gush here in response to see what's up. That's a Swords to Plowshares, so we're fine. Oh no, this is a 10-10 now. Opponent gonna swing. Smaller. Vision Charm. Yeah, so I think the right thing to do here is to just untap. And ooh, that's a bad draw. So we're just gonna swing. My opponent's gonna be forced to block. And they're gonna pump a bunch. And then after they finish pumping, we're going to plow the Psychatog. And they have one card in hand, so there's no free counterspell or free effect they could have. So this it may not be lethal because they're gonna gain a bunch of life, but it should be pretty close to it. I think my opponent messed up when they didn't do this. They didn't cast Smother on my turn and they cast it on theirs. Though I guess that would have enabled me to like do counterspell stuff, so maybe it was fine what they did. Okay, gonna exile one more, plow it. So they still go down to 1. They have no Togs, and now they untap. So now they can kill this, but we're gonna have like 10 turns or something to like assemble the combo again, and we already have half of it. All right, got there, and on to round number 3. Okay, here we go. What do we got here? Interesting hand. I mean, I have double melee mage, so I think that's fine. We can also opt on turn 1. This hand is very weak to Wasteland, though. I'm hoping that this opt will find me. I guess priority number 1 is to find an island or 2. Probably 2, considering I have a couple of gushes here. But we'll see what we're up against. We will likely find out soon enough. Mountain into Goblin Lackey. Okay. I don't think I'm gonna have time to mess around with that kind of stuff. So, playing against Goblins. So I think, I'm definitely gonna play Melee Mage here. What to name is interesting though. Obviously we cannot name something like Gem Palm, so that sucks. But what we can do is we can name... So the best thing for them to have on turn 2 would be Pile Driver. Alternatively, we could name Goblin Matron. But I have another melee mage to name Goblin Matron, so I guess this one's just going to name Goblin Pile Driver. This is just the best thing that can be played on turn 2. My opponent could play like a Mog Fanatic or like another Lackey or whatever, but like those things don't really matter. So I think the best thing to name here is Pile Driver, and then we can take it from there. Opponent plays lands and fetches for basic for us, so we definitely gonna need to be playing around Naturalize for sure. Days with no islands. Ugh, that sucks. So we could attack here. I think I'm going to. And we'll see what happens. Nothing happens. Okay, so I'm just gonna play second melee mage, and this one is gonna name Goblin Matron. Opponent didn't spend their mana on anything last turn, so we're just gonna name Matron here. Hopefully disrupt my opponent a little bit more, and we'll see what they do. Not having a basic island so far, it's kind of rough, but they play the War Chief. War Chief is fine. It does mean that I can't really attack anymore, though. Also, it means that Gem Palm is going to be a problem. And these draws are just not working out. Alright, the good thing is that at least we have Stifle to deal with a Gem Palm, so that's not nothing. But we can't really attack here. We only have our melee mages holding the fort. Just not finding any islands is kind of rough. No fetch lands either, but it is what it is. War Chiefs don't get in there. Interesting. Swords to Plowshares is kind of nice, actually. I think I'm just gonna let my opponent have their turn, and we'll see what happens. But this allows me to hard cast Daze, so if they want to go for a Siege again, I can just Daze it. Well, never mind, now I can't anymore, but before they played land, I think we were in good shape. Okay, now they have Ringleader. Let's see what's up over here. They find Incinerator, War Chief. It's pretty strong. It's quite strong. So Ringleader's gonna get in there. That's fine. Ringleader can get through. Take 2. Does the opponent do anything? No. Portent. I mean, that's rough, but I kind of have to do this, right? Like, I need to find a land. Yeah. Opponent playing very well so far. Obviously, we can't daze this. Huh. The pile driver naming one is the one they kill. Very interesting. Well, so I guess our Sword Supplier is going to kill that pile driver. None of those are lands, so we're just going to put it back in any order and shuffle and send the turn back. Yeah, this is kind of rough. Not in good shape over here. Looking like we're gonna lose this one. Double pyro. Yeah, that's probably gonna be enough for me. Okay, game number 2. Let's bring in the Blue Elemental Blasts, Swords to Plowshares, and I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm personally not a fan, even though Melee Mage kind of like did some stuff in there. I'm not a fan of the card. They just have too many answers to it. Like they have like Power Blast, they have also Red Elemental Blast, they have you know, like Jump On, as we just saw. So it's kind of rough. I think I'm gonna go with Winter Orbs, actually. I think I'm gonna go with Winter Orbs, and I'm gonna cut Counter Spell. Let's go with this. We're on the play, and this hand is fantastic, so let's keep it. Quite a strong hand, actually. It's very nice that we don't care about most things. We don't care about like Wasteland and stuff. We have an island already covered. Okay, so let's go get an island here. We're gonna opt on end step. So bottom Division Charm, another Flooded Strand. Okay, I think we're gonna portent here. It's a bunch of lands. I kind of don't want any of these cards. I could have the opt. I guess I'm gonna keep the opt on top because I can just shuffle, and yeah, that's better. So top, 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 no shuffle, play land. So we're gonna find the cantrip here, and then we'll take it from there. So I think I want to do this, like set a stop on my upkeep and shuffle now in case my opponent has another fetch land. Because if they do have another fetch land, I'm going to stifle it. They play Carpulsum Forest and pass the turn back, which is perfectly fine. We opt. Dreadnought. Sure, okay. We're going to need that. I'm probably not going to do anything for a second here. I think I'm interested in portenting, though. I mean, I could hold up Counterspell, but ooh, all of these are great. Yeah, this is fantastic. Okay, so we're gonna go. I guess let's go top, top, top. No shuffle. Pass the turn back. So now we're gonna draw the Hydroblast. Then in our turn, we're gonna draw the Gush. And next turn, we can just probably go like Dreadnought into stuff. Well, my opponent just does nothing. Interesting. Huh. So, if I float 2 mana here, I mean, I guess I don't have to do anything. The problem is my opponent doesn't have to do anything either. And that's a problem. So what happens if I Gush right now? I have 7 cards in hand, plus 2 lands. That's going to be 8 cards. And then we draw 2 more. That's 10. Then we're going to have 2 lands in play. We go Dreadnought into Stifle. I guess that's fine, yeah. So we're going to be using enough cards that we're hopefully not going to have to discard. And we can potentially land the Winter Orb as well, if my opponent uses a lot of their mana. We'll see what they do. But we do have Stifle, Winter Orb, Daze. Like, we do have a pretty decent amount of protection here. Okay. Ooh, foil as well. Don't mind if I do. So here's a Dreadnought. And Stifle or Vision Charm is an interesting question. I think I'm gonna Stifle, so I can use Vision Charm to protect. Pyroblast. Okay. Then I'll Vision Charm. Opponent Pyroblasts again, which I will Hydroblast. And now we have foil. So my opponent, like, we're just gonna get to untap, get to do our thing. Now we have foil, Daze, counterspell, and so I guess my opponent is just playing a control deck over there almost, which is pretty funny. Goblins control, classic archetype. Naturalize. Foil, blowing that up. Discarding island, discarding counterspell. And I'm discarding counterspell here, obviously, because Daze. I'm just gonna drop a Winter Orb. 12 my opponent. And I guess they have to have exactly another Naturalize here. And if they do, we're gonna be in trouble. We can protect with Daze, so if they play, like, you know, any sort of large creature, they lose. Excellent. Alright, so that's game number 2. And now we're gonna be on the draw. So, what to do now on the draw? I do think Winter Orb is still a solid part of the game plan here. Oh, did I just submit 62 cards and I didn't even notice? Whoops. Well, that was my bad. I guess for whatever reason, I guess I forgot to cut the necessary cards. Whoopsies. Yeah, let's submit 60 this time around. Mistakes were made. Mistakes were made, but never punished, so it's fine. This hand looks pretty good. So we're gonna go turn 1 Flooded Strand, say go. And I guess if they play a Lackey, I'm gonna just kill it main phase. I don't want to give my opponent a chance to untap and get me with their own Pyroblast. Turn 1 Lackey, yep. Okay. Oh, well, that's cool. This one doesn't get Pyroblasted. But I still think that I'd rather just fetch for an island and just Hydroblast this. So now we can untap and we can, I guess, play either a Darker Waste or something else. Great. Okay, that's a Plains. I'm gonna play another island, say go. So now we can counter whatever they play if we think that it's necessary. My best draw would be, I guess, Gush here. Miss Landrop is big. Miss Landrop is pretty big. I guess maybe I should have played a Darker Wastes too. So if my opponent draws a Wasteland and they want to waste my thing, that's kind of fine. Yeah, pass the turn back. Let's see. 7 cards in hand and nothing to play. Very interesting. I think I'm going to play Winter Orb right here. Just so I can use my mana efficiently. Because my plan is going to be to, like, as soon as I find Daze or something... Oh, we're definitely stifling that one. If you're wondering whether we're stifling that one, you can bet that I am. With my opponent missing all of these land drops. Vision Charm. I definitely want to make sure that I have at least 1 or 2 layers of protection before I do anything. Because even though my opponent only has 2 mountains in play, 3 mountains now. War Chief, counterspell. Now we untap. Island. Another island. So I guess I can go Vision Charm here. Because I will get to untap and Hydroblast their thing. Their Overload if they have that. So face out Dreadnought. It's bad if they draw exactly a green source, because then they're going to get to naturalize me, but this feels like a decent spot. to drop a knot, and they immediately find a green source. That's brutal. Yikes. That's just devastating. That's so bad for me. No. Yes, I can counter that spell if it's red. Oh, I guess they can have their own Pyroblast here, so this is bad for me regardless. Okay, I guess we're playing a longer game here. We got a Dreadnought. And I guess we're just gonna have to play the long game. Maybe I should have waited until I had foil mana, honestly, now that I think about it. I'm still untapping the island because of cantrips. Yep, rewarded. Days, gosh, oh yeah, these are great. So let's go. Okay, and we're gonna go top, no shuffle. Pass the turn. Hearth Charm, that's one that I hadn't seen on the Goblins in a while. Now we draw our days. Wasteland. You want to wasteland my Darker Wastes? Be my guest. And that island. Do I want to gush now? I think so I get to reset my stuff. What is this? Naturalize? Naturalize on my Winter. I'm kind of very much okay with this. That seems very good for me, actually. Like, that's one less answer for Dreadnought. That's perfect. Awesome. Okay, so now we got foil. Now we got Swords to Plowshares. Is my opponent going to Wasteland or not? War Chief is fine. That just gets plowed and we move on. I will take 2. Okay. Do nothing else. Nice. Very nice. So I can daze some. If they have Naturalize, I daze, then foil. That's not very good though. Like, it uses my daze for no value. I could also just like pitch the daze to the foil. So I could do that to protect the Dreadnought. And then I'm gonna have Vision Charm plus... this is fine. I'm just gonna plow the War Chief and pass the turn back. Actually, I'm gonna play out the land, because I get to hardcast foil here. Basic Forest. Getting to hardcast the foil would be really good here for me. Float a mana. Okay. I mentioned they're gonna go for Ringleader here. Siege Gang. Does that even matter? I don't think that matters. So now we untap. And now we Dreadnought. Yep. Dreadnought. Vision Charm. I was gonna say, hopefully they Pyroblast, but it looks like they didn't. Okay. They're gonna plow the Siege Gang. I think so. It doesn't change my clock. And now we have foil, pitching days, and then when we untap, we get to foil again. So here, if my opponent takes it, they're gonna take 12 down to 9, and then War Chief. Yeah, War Chief is fine. They swing? I mean, I'm winning this race very easily. All right. So here's 12. Although I guess that's a good attack. Like, now is when they have to leave dudes back down to block. Just gonna leave this as is. So we have double foil here in order to protect this Dreadnought. And my opponent's gonna need to be throwing some stuff in the garbage. Does this guy matter? It can draw into... I guess, can this raise me? So they play this. It can draw Tinkerer. That's like the thing that's boring me. So if my opponent's last 2 cards are Tinkerer into Pyroblast, we actually lose, like straight up. So if my opponent attacks here, because they need to leave back at least 3 creatures, so they can leave back Ringleader plus 2 tokens. So I take 3 this turn down to 9. I think this is fine. That's a close one. Like, that's like one of the very few cards that I would, you know, stop and think whether I should be foiling that or not. So they got Lucky Pile Driver. So Pile Driver I'm countering, obviously, because it kills me. So here's a foil. Naturalize. Yes! Yes! Ooh, cashing in these days feels so good. Cashing in these days feels so freaking good. Wow. Awesome. So now my opponent can swing with War Chief. And leaving some dudes back to block, we go back to 9. And they have to chomp. Swords to Plowshares is a very good draw, I think. Because obviously, like, this doesn't stop the blocking, because my opponent gains the life. But by having access to Swords to Plowshares here, I just get to... So they go down to 1. I think I want to plow the War Chief right now. This means that now I don't care about the Lucky anymore, because before I was in a tough spot where the Lucky means that I have to care about it because it has haste and it can actually put the if it hits me, my opponent can flash in a Tinker through my foil, which would have been a problem. But by getting rid of the Ringleader, I just not Ringleader, the other guy, the War Chief, I just don't care about the Lucky at all now. And they have only a single card left in hand, and it doesn't matter. All right, baby. Oh, ArgenNought. By the way, I figured this out the other day. This is just blue and white, so this is ArgenNought. It's the Argentinian Dreadnought, blue-white Dreadnought. And there it goes, baby. On to another playoffs finals. Let's go. Good games. All right, baby. Finals time. This looks great. This looks like a fantastic hand. We can go turn 1, Portent. Turn 2, Hold Up Counterspell. Yeah, this looks great. We're on the play as well, by the way. Get that island. Portent myself. Ha. Well, this is really interesting. So this gives me interaction in case I'm playing against a combo, like some kind of creature deck. So it gives me Swords of Plowshares, gives me Stifle, gives me another counterspell. So I can't hold up counterspell this turn, but what I can do, however, is I can go put Plow on top, put Stifle on top, put Counterspell third. What that does is next turn it allows me to either go for the combo if I want to, or alternatively I can go opt bottom Counterspell, try to dig for a land. So I think even though this is not exactly what I was looking for, I think this is good enough to keep. And I think I want to put the Swords to Plowshare first. There's an argument for doing the opposite. So if I know that I'm playing against like Parfait or something, I can actually opt on my own upkeep and then just like send the Plow downstairs. Looks like we are indeed against Parfait. Oh no, we're not against Parfait. Oh wow. Where there? So we could be playing versus a Meddling Mage deck. So I may want to chill on this Swords to Plowshares. I'm definitely going to opt and bottom the counterspell. I could also just play the Dreadnought, but if my opponent has a Seal of Cleansing, then I probably just lose the game straight up. So I think, oof. Oh man, this is tough. Do I want to play around Swords to Plowshares? Do I want to play around? Yeah, I think I do. So let's just pass the turn back, I think. And I'm going to let my opponent have the Werebear for a turn. I think this is fine. Because I may need to Swords to Plowshare something like a Terrible or whatever. Mulch. Okay. Alright, so probably no Meddling Mage, but definitely there's going to be some bad stuff for me over there. Mostly Swords to Plowshare, Seal of Cleansing, stuff like that. So here we opt on end step, bottom Counterspell. Swords to Plowshares they were there. And note that my opponent held up an island when they could have just played the Wasteland instead. So if we go for it now, I think I'm just going to play the island and just play it slow. There's no reason for me to do anything here. And I can just counter whatever they play next turn. Like here, we get a cycle, which is fine. So I suppose that they have a Swords to Plowshares in hand. So I'm gonna need to be able to beat that. They cycle a couple of times. I guess that's many couple of times. Treetop Village. Okay, so I'm assuming Swords to Plowshares, and we're gonna pass the turn once again. If my opponent chooses to activate Treetop, I'm just gonna plow it probably. Damn. Opponent just cycled 4 cycle lands. That's funny. I think Mongoose. So that's a 3/3, but does that matter? I think I'm gonna use the counterspell here because I can, I guess. And now they can go for like Swords to Plowshares, but so the bad thing about using counterspell there is that I could have used that counterspell for a Swords to Plowshares, but my goal here is gonna be to, if they activate Treetop, to just use the plow, but I'm not gonna play this Dreadnought until I have... Okay, that's nice. I'm not gonna play this Dreadnought until I have Melee Mage in play. I'm also not gonna fetch because I could draw Portent, and obviously Portent plus Flood Strand is pretty strong. Mulch. I think Mulch is fine. Milling 2 Terravores and a Treetop Village. Okay, we know my opponent has Wasteland and a bunch of unknowns. Another Dreadnought. I could double Dreadnought here if I wanted to, but I honestly don't see the reason to do that. Core Haven. Okay, so I guess one of these Stifles is gonna need to go at that. I think I'm gonna plow this now. I mean, I'm gonna be doing this at some point anyway, so I might as well do it now. No Melee Mage, but that means that I can just go for foil. I think we just pass the turn back once again. We're chilling here. Mongoose. That one is fine. I don't think I'm going to use the foil for that. Treetop. Okay, so they have only 3 cards left in hand. They did play out the Wasteland. So I'm looking at Melee Mage. Opt. Sure. Let's opt here for Counterspell. I'm going to bottom the Counterspell. A Darker Wastes I'm not super into, but there goes that. So we're going to be taking 6 this turn. Am I okay with that? I think this is fine. So as is, we're going to be taking 6. We're going to be going down to 10. There's Treetop. So we're taking 6 here. I think we're going to untap, and I guess we're just going to go double Dreadnought, unless I find Melee Mage. That's bad. Okay, I guess I have to double Dreadnought now. And I can protect from one of the Swords to Plowshares, which really sucks. Like, I really wish I didn't have to do that. But it is what it is. We're holding up foil. Again, saving the Flooded Strand for Portent. Interesting. Wasteland my fetch land? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna let the one Swords to Plowshares resolve. The reason to do that is because I gain life, and if they have something like a Disenchant, then I don't gain the 12. So here, we just get the 1, 12, 12. We're at 21, opponent at 24. No cards in hand, unfortunately. 3 mana for a Terravore, which is a 10/10. That's pretty damn big Terravore. Can be up to 11/11. Okay, that's an actual level 11. Okay, this game's close now. Melee Mage. Okay, so we're gonna name Swords to Plowshares. We have already used both of ours, so we're just gonna name Swords to Plowshares here. And I think I'm gonna swing for 12. Because if my opponent wants to double block, we get to trade with the Terravore. Looks like they don't. And now we're gonna take 11, 14. But then we're just gonna hold our dude back to block, which is nice. And we're not going to do anything until we draw, you know, Stifle for the Core Haven, of course. Nantuko Monastery. Werebear. Okay. Stifle? Portent. Okay, so as is, we are dead here. And we're going to shuffle that. Any order, shuffle. So is there anything we can draw? I guess it needs to be exactly Stifle. Let's see what we draw. Another portent. That was not a good portent. That was not a good one. Okay. So I guess we lose here if my opponent goes for it, which they certainly should. It's pretty unfortunate how long it took for us to draw the Meddling Mage. If we had found the mage a little bit earlier, I think it would have been in good shape, but we were forced into a situation where I could have blanked 2 of my opponent's cards, and instead of that, you know, they just were able to cash them in. So Monastery, okay. And this is a lethal attack if they swing with everything. Okay, sounds good. Game number 2. So what do I like? I like the Swords to Plowshares. I like the Disenchants, and I think I like the Winter Orbs as well. These are the cards that I think I'm interested in. Don't think I care for the Annuls. Tormod's Crypt is interesting, but probably not good enough. If I had Fire Action Furnace, I would definitely bring it in, but I don't think Tormod's Crypt is where I want to be. The Daces are probably not going to be great. And I can cut 1 counter spell. Actually, I don't think I want the Disenchant and Seal of Cleansing. I could want like 1 of them. 1 Disenchant. Alternatively, I could bring in Annuls. But against this kind of matchup, I actually, against Mox matchups, I think I'd rather have Seal of Cleansings than Annuls overall. Hopefully we get to see more Gushes this time around. That would be awesome. Yeah, this is fine. I'm just going to cut an Impulse. Okay, what do we got here? This looks pretty good. Let's keep this. So we're going to go... I mean, I don't love the foils, but everything else I'm kind of a big fan of, so... We're going to fetch 4 basic islands, say go. I am probably playing Winter Orb on turn 2. Wayfarer. Okay. I mean, are they just not going to play a land? There's no way they can just afford to do that. Interesting. So, let's play Melee Mage. And I'm going to name... kind of don't want to name Swords to Plowshares, actually. I mean, I'm going to name it anyway, but... There's an argument for just not naming Swords to Plowshares. They are just naming Disenchant instead. So my opponent's going to get to do the thing now, where they just wasteland me and stuff. It's a good thing, not going to lie. Yep. So there goes that. And now I'm in a spot where I have to actually find lands. Opt is not bad. Dreadnought to the bottom. Stifle. Yikes. So now they're gonna get to do the trick where they like stifle, they fetch, and then with the fetch trigger or the fetch on the stack, they can actually activate Wayfarer, which is very nice. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, that's so sexy. Core Haven has been found. We actually have the answer for that in the Winter Orb. Werebear, okay. Land? Foil number 3 with no island and no nothing. Yikes. Alright. Mulch. Okay. Now we're in pretty bad shape, actually. So they found Secluded Steppe and Plains. The good thing is that if we find an island, I think we're gonna be in okay shape. Okay, so they just cycle. That is the 7th card for... That's the 7th card for the Werebear. I'm gonna take a bunch. Another Opt. Vision Charm, not good. Island, yes, good. Okay, so we're gonna hold up Meddling Mage so that Wayfarer can't get through. Gush is our best draw, because Gush enables my foils. We're gonna take 4 this turn. Mongoose. Take 4, that's fine. Untap. Another Stifle. Yeah, I just don't have the time. I just don't have the time here. Orim's Chant. That's brutal. It's absolutely devastating. Yep, that's good enough. Okay. Yeah. Wow, that was brutal. Kind of a clinic being put on by JC Knox over there. Obviously, my hand did not function either, right? Like, obviously, that certainly did not help. But like, my opponent played it very, very well. They drew very well, and they like squeezed the value and the advantage where in the spots where they had to. So very, very well played. I'm surprised to see Armageddon still in the deck. Gush? No Gush. Okay, let's play Winter Orb and Concede. Alright, we fell on the finals to TerraGeddon, which is one of my favorite decks in the format, honestly. Like, since I just came into the format, I was a big fan of this archetype. So, congratulations, Nox! You got there. Alright, here we are. That was another finals appearance for blue-white ArgenNought in the playoffs. Congratulations to Nox for taking it down. And the deck continues to perform really, really well. It's interesting because in the last 2 matches, we actually saw a little bit of the quote-unquote fail rate of the deck, right? So versus the Goblins deck, it was just the game number 1, it kind of things just never went my way at any point. And then in games 2 and 3, we managed to rally back. But in games both 1 and 2 in the last match versus TerraGeddon, we actually found ourselves in situations where we were not hitting our land drops, and in game number 1, what happened is we didn't find any melee mages, and we also didn't find that much actual digging power. So we never saw any gushes, and we didn't see that many cantrips either. So what ended up happening is we just ended up with a little bit of a clunky hand that would have been like pretty problematic, right? Like if I had found at any point, if I had found melee mage before being forced into dropping the dreadnoughts, then I think I would have been very easy able to win that game. So that really shows what you can do in order to beat this deck, right? Like you need pressure, which is exactly what Nox had against me in that very last match in that game number 1 and number 2. So was able to really put a lot of pressure in play, while at the same time backing that up with interaction, so forcing me to go for it in a spot where I really didn't want to, and then was able to cash in their swords to plowshares in a very profitable way. And also, cards like Core Haven can be really problematic for a deck like this as well. So if you were expecting a lot of Dreadnought, Core Haven all of a sudden becomes a very interesting addition to any sort of deck. Like I could even consider adding Core Haven to something like Blue-White Landstill or whatever. Like those kind of decks that have lands that can afford to have some number of value lands amongst their mana base. You could consider Core Haven as one of those. If that happens to be the case, and you are in a situation where you need to actually find a way to answer those Core Havens, the card that I would consider that is probably like the best answer to Core Haven is, obviously you can play through it by using Stifle to like counter the activation, or like by having multiple Dreadnoughts and your opponent can only stop one of those. But if you really wanted a way to like get rid of it, and you don't want to be playing stuff like Wasteland, which you probably shouldn't, then what you can do is you can play cards like Sabos Web. Sabos Web is a 2-mana card from Invasion that it cantrips, so it's not the worst case scenario if your opponent does not have the Core Haven, which would be the case with Wasteland, right? Like if your opponent does not have the Core Haven in play, like you play the Wasteland, they Wasteland your Wasteland, and now you're in a situation where like you actually cannot answer the the core haven. But Savos Web cantrips, so you can play it preemptively, which is very nice, and then it just keeps the core haven tapped for forever. You know, it actually answers it for good, which is very nice. It's also very good versus Rishadan Port in particular. But yeah, so I think the deck is very, very good. Like, it just continues performing really, really well for me, as you've been seeing in all of these videos. And the sideboard is the only thing that could potentially use some work. I think that, I mean, obviously I'm going to be playing this at LobsterCon, like that's just what's going to happen. But the sideboard could actually use some actual changes. So for example, Null Rod is a card that if you don't expect to see that much Parfait, and like the same with Cursed Stone, I mean, if you don't expect to see that much Elves, like their value goes down in a pretty drastic way. So those could be something else. I'm a huge fan of Winter Orb in this deck. I think it works. Also, it works really well in a variety of matchups. Like, it's fantastic versus the control decks, and it's obviously as well fantastic versus even decks like Goblins. You can really take great advantage of Winter Orb. And then, you know, like Annuls, Disenchant, Seal of Cleansing, like all of these cards, you can play different splits on, like the same with like Swords to Plowshares. It doesn't say anywhere that you need to be playing 4 copies. You can play 3 copies and play, you know, free up some slots over there. So still some work to do with the sideboard. I'm fairly content with the main deck. Really, the flex slots are these, in my opinion. So like the cards that I would consider to be flex slots are these ones right here. But I think that these are just great uses of those flex slots, so I'm not really looking to change any of these cards. Impulse is probably like the one that I could consider just like playing something else instead. But like it's a good cantrip, and it's just I don't think I would ever want any more than a single copy is what I'm saying. Like, the single copy is fine because like you see it rarely enough that it doesn't really clunk up your draws. While if you had like 3-4 copies of Impulse, all of a sudden like all of your cantrips are 2-drops, and you are like in a situation where like you actually need to interact with the board, or you want to play Meddling Mage, and then you are not going to be able to double spell Meddling Mage and Impulse until turn 4, which is like super slow. So things like that really don't make me excited about the card Impulse, but it seems fine as a one-off. It could also just be some sleight of hands instead, so that's what I've played in the past. But yeah, the list looked fantastic. I think that I will continue to try things out with it and develop it. But that's gonna be it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed these playoffs. If you did enjoy, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And if you would like to support my content, if you've been enjoying the Premodern stuff that I've been putting out, feel free to check out the Patreon, and you can also make donations that you know really help me continue doing what it is that I'm doing right now. So really appreciate you watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. See you in the next video. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.